defensive line. Now, I'm going to fair warn you guys here. When I say defensive line, we're not talking about edge rushers. We're talking strictly the big old boys up front. That's what we're talking about here. The defensive ends, the defensive tackles, the guys that are doing the dirty work that you don't always necessarily get the credit for. The dirty deeds done dirt cheap. That's what they are.
Yeah.
Well, not all of them really done dirt cheap because,
I was about to say, Sexy Dexter got nice contracts.
He's getting paid a lot of money. So Dexter Lawrence is, of course, the first guy. I mean, let's be honest here. You can't talk about the defensive line and not include who is literally the best defensive tackle in all of football, clearly the best nose tackle in football. I think that's definitely at least undisputed there. But I would say he's also the best defensive tackle overall, the best pure lineman like that in the 3-4 system. And listen, the whole thing with Dexter Lawrence this year, all I care about is coming healthy.
Yep.
All I care about. I want a continuation of last year. Guys, literally, he was on pace for insane sack numbers for a big body defensive tackle. That's the crazy thing about him. People forget because Aaron Donald is jacked. Let's be very frank. Aaron Donald is a guy who is chiseled like a bodybuilder. He's not a big guy like Lawrence is. There's a difference to what he's doing compared to what other people have done in the past because guys like John Randall, remember him back to the Viking days, he was too small to be a defensive tackle at first. If I remember correctly, and I didn't plan on talking about him per se, so someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he even started off in the CFL or something like that because he was so small, nobody thought he actually could play the position. You got, even guys like Warren Sapp. He was a little small. He wasn't like the Gilbert Brown kind of guy there, But this is a guy that literally is that big body defensive tackle, takes on blocks, stops the run, but also gets to the quarterback. And like I said, 9 sacks in 12 games, guys.
Yeah,
this is going to be a damn good season for him if he's healthy, especially with all these weapons around him now. Because last year it was him and everybody else. That was the defensive line, him and everybody else. So, obviously, Dexter Lawrence, we're going to go on a limb and say, is going to go ahead and make the roster.
Yeah.
Crazy suggestion.
No doubt about it.
His new sidekick is going to be, obviously, Darius Alexander, the 3rd-round pick. Another guy that's coming from a smaller school. The Giants have seemed to love small school kind of defensive tackles here lately. But this is a guy that I have high hopes for. I liked him a lot coming out of college. Again, he's going to obviously make the roster. I think that's safe.
I think so. Pretty sure.
Now, I also have to clarify one thing real quick because this is becoming an issue apparently. Deb says, YouTube had this starting at 10 p.m. That's my stupidity because I created this stream and I forgot to go ahead and change the time to our regular time. Rob then says, I'm early. Yeah. Let me be very clear to tell you guys he was not early. There's a reason we started at 9:10. Should I just make the time 9:10, Rob? Would that be easier?
No, we started at 9:15.
No. But there's people waiting 10 minutes for you. And not just me.
Late than ever. No, sorry guys. It's a little traffic.
Sure.
I don't know where you guys are at, but there's some rain over here.
It gets traffic every day.
Dude, I had to go to Brooklyn and Manhattan today. I sat in a lot of traffic today.
I had a lot today because I know you were saying it's raining there in Jersey. It's been downpouring in Florida. We got like 8 inches of rain coming this whole entire holiday weekend, so we're gonna have a lot.
Yeah, if you're towards the Pineys, it was raining earlier today. Now it's Ocean County's raining a little bit.
Nobody lives there. It's the Pineys.
Touche.
Yep, exactly. Next up, we had, of course, Chauncey Golston, the guy we said pretty much is like the Giants' secret weapon because, again, no one's been talking about him. Had a really good year last year for the Dallas Cowboys, and a nice win to get him away from one of our rivals there. And we're putting him at defensive line. This is where the Giants put him at. And be very clear that he is a hybrid player. He can play defensive line. He can play edge. And I love hybrid players because when it boils down to it, you can fit 2 positions as a backup now. And he plays them both well. He's not Isaiah Simmons, who can't play any of them well. He doesn't barely
He's a
scoot
Swiss
by.
utility knife.
Yeah.
What do you got from Timo?
But yeah, he's gonna be interesting, and I'm curious what they do with him overall because I feel like he could very well start on this defensive line, or he could be the primary backup for both defensive, in defensive end and edge. Like I can see either role for him at that point there, so I'm kind of curious to see what they do with him. But
I
he's
think it's
gonna
going to be
have
mixed back and forth depending on who they're playing.
Yeah, and he's gonna have a decent role. That's for damn sure.
Yeah,
There's no doubt in my mind he's gonna have a decent role on this defense. Rakeem Nunez-Roches. Here's a guy that a lot of people wonder when he's going to make the roster because he makes a lot of money, guys. I still think he makes it because here's the thing: he's underperformed. Let me be very clear on that. Underperformed as a Giant, but I do think we've also put him in a situation that he's not built for. Like, let's be honest. Last year, he was the second best defensive tackle we had. Name, resume wise, that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he was the second best player on the field on the defensive line. I'm saying he had the second best resume of guys like that.
Yes,
he's not that guy. He is what he's doing. I think here, he's going to be a guy who is probably going to go ahead and be like your primary backup kind of defensive lineman, which is what he played at the role of in Kansas City, in Tampa. Like we tried to force him into something that he wasn't. Like we Josh Azudu, we Deontay, not Deontay Banks, but I guess Deontay Banks to a certain degree. So we try to make him into a CB1 when he's not. But we're playing him in a position that's giving him too much for what his skill set is.
Yes,
and that's also on the Giants.
It is, but there was also it's definitely on the Giants, but they had no one else to play.
And that's the problem.
Yeah,
that's the problem. They kept letting people walk away. They kept trading people away. Looking at you, Leonard Williams. And that's the things that we've done, and this is what we ended up with. But now he's in a position where he can be a primary backup defensive lineman. And yes, he's getting paid very well for being a backup defensive lineman. Be very clear on that. But that's what his role was supposed to be. So that's it is what it is. There, I think he stays on. I think he fits that role, and they probably hope to have a younger, cheaper option next year. But he'll finish out that last year. One potential younger, cheaper option is, of course, Elijah Chatman, who was, I think, a surprise for a lot of us last year. I don't think many people had a lot of expectations for a UDFA like that. And he kind of entered into Giants fans' hearts when he ran down the player on that. And the preseason game was against the Texans, I want to say it was against.
I believe so.
Yeah. And listen, I don't think Chapman's ever going to develop into a great player, a starter, or a guy who's, challenging for a starting position. But I think he's a guy that can fit on a depth chart somewhere. And if you're getting that out of a UDFA, that's a freaking win and a half, guys.
Got him cheap.
That's a win. Yeah, like that's awesome. Then we got Robertson-Harris, who just seems like he should have like a third at the end of that. That seems like a very fancy name. Esquire, exactly. But he's a veteran depth guy, and he kind of gets lumped, I feel like, with Jeremiah Ledbetter, where these two guys both are like solid veteran defensive linemen that easily could have started last year for us, but now they're in the backup zone because we've got some names here with Alexander, Golston, people like that being added to this roster. And now they're going to be guys who will be fighting off the young guys for roster spots. Like, these guys are not going to be people that we're going to go ahead and say, okay, definitely these guys make the roster. They're going to have to fight people off. You got DJ Davidson and Jordan Riley, both, recent draft acquisitions by the Giants there that have been a backup for a few years now.
Probably hit the ceiling.
And that's the question. Have they hit the ceiling? What is the ceiling for these guys? And if this is a ceiling, is this a ceiling we want to deal with?
Probably not, because Riley was supposed to be like a stud coming out 2 years ago.
I'm not a stud, but I mean, he's supposed to be a productive player.
He was the talk about preseason 2 years ago.
Yeah.
2 seasons
so was him and Trey Hawkins.
Yeah. The third.
Just saying, like, he's He was a late round draft pick. Anybody who bought the hype, that's the same hype that it was with there with Trey Hawkins there.
Yeah, was he 7th round?
I want to say he was. I mean, I can look it up real quick. Where are you talking about him?
Yeah, I mean, big guy, big body.
Yep, 7th round. So, yeah, I don't. Like I said, I don't think when you have a 7th round pick and he's been around for a couple of years, he hasn't done much. There's no reason to go crazy and hold on to him. And DJ Davidson was a reach of a pick. That guy was, most people had him as an undrafted rookie free agent.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not like I said, not going to hold on to roster spots for people because we drafted them if they're not performing and they're late round, day 3 kind of picks. There's no need. Keep the veterans. Keep the guys actually belong in the NFL.
Put these guys in the practice squad or bye.
Yeah, listen, that's fine. If you want to put them on the practice squad and have them see what they can do, see if they develop anymore. You got also a couple of guys who've been around for the league for a couple of years that we've had on our squad, but they've also been other squads in that time period. You got Corey Durden, who's been 2 seasons in the NFL, including last year with the Giants, and Elijah Garcia, who's been 3 seasons in the NFL, including last year with the Giants. And I think those guys probably have the least chances of making this roster, barring any kind of crazy injuries.
That's a fair statement.
They're kind of camp bodies. So I got us keeping in this, and we'll have to see. That's the fun of a 3-4 defense. You don't know what you're going to do.
You never know what you're going to get.
Okay, Forrest. 7 defensive linemen. So Dexter Lawrence, Darius Alexander. That Chauncey Golston's in there. And that's probably your 3 that you definitely know for sure will be there. I'm going to say Rakeem Nunez-Roches makes it.
Yep.
Now, I wouldn't be shocked if the Giants go to him about a pay cut. But I think he makes it. Either way. Elijah Chatman, you got to hold on to him. He showed you some promise last year. And then you got 2 more spots. I'm going to say it goes to Robertson-Harris and Jeremiah Ledbetter. We got the 2 veterans in there. And that's a hell of a lot better defensive line we had last year, guys.
Oh, my gosh.
Last year was just like a hodgepodge. Like, we literally were talking about DJ Davidson starting. And now he's not even going to make the roster based on this.
Can DJ do it? No, he can't. No, DJ can.
We should never have any DJ on the Giants anymore. Just saying. Just not a good name for us. But, again, Davidson and Riley are 2 people that I wouldn't mind if they put on the practice squad. I'd be okay with that. Yeah, if you want to see if they develop anymore and put them on a practice squad, that's fine. But I'm not going to hold the position for 2 guys out of hope and prayers when we got a couple of veteran guys who have done it for years now.
What did 38 specialists say? You got to hold on loosely or you're going to lose control?
Yes. I think that's exactly what it is. I didn't know it's 38 special until just now, though.
Pretty sure it is.
I don't know.
Sounded
good. Let's see. 38 special. Hold on. Yep, that is them. That's one of those bands that you hear and you're like, I don't know any songs they do.
So you hear like 5 of them.
I know I've heard of them.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Shinedown is that kind of band.
Only they had like 10 dozen songs.
But I'm saying, like, you don't realize how many songs they do until you actually look at a list. Like, oh my God, that was them.
Yeah, Shinedown gets mixed up with like Seether sometimes. Right?
I think it makes it a lot because they sound like a lot of other bands.
Dad rock bands.
They really do. Like they're the chicken of the rock and roll world. Like, everything tastes like chicken. Everything sounds like Shinedown.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a compliment or not. I don't mean it as a bad way.
Thanks for watching. Like the show? Of course you do, or you would have turned it off by now and not be hearing me. There are plenty of ways to support the show. YouTube is the best place to join us, and we offer memberships there with fun benefits like custom emojis and early access to video clips. Of course, there you can also send super chats and stickers to send one-time support payments. The best way to support the show is to buy these drunk idiots beers at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Along with one-time support payments, there are also monthly plans, so you can continue to help kill their livers each month. You can also show people that you are a goofball by visiting our store at 2giantgoofballs-shop.fourthwall.com. We got everything from shirts, hats, phone cases, funny candles, buttons, stickers, and even a 2 Giant Goofballs towel to dry off your goofballs. Of course, you can always support the show for free by simply hitting the like, subscribe, and share button wherever you are watching or listening to this. Hit the thumbs up on YouTube. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It helps the show tremendously, and quite frankly, the Goofballs suck at marketing and need your help to get the word out. Thank you for being part of the Goofball Army and for taking the time out to support the show.
If you like that clip,
then you will love the full episodes too.
Find us on your favorite podcast app and look for us on all your favorite social media platforms.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you.